I have a Steam library of games I have barely played, if at all, so I'll be remedying this by reviewing all 460 of them, starting with the poster boy of the new age boomer shooters. Low graphics, high speed, and several guns. It is very reminiscent of the older games, but it takes all those concepts to 11. The speed is insane with so many techniques to learn that the speed and skill ceiling is always higher. The developer rarely patches out anything that contributes to speedrunning, making it like those Japanese pots where damage is repaired with gold. Each gun has its own purpose and insanity. Making bodacious combos and switching them will increase your style meter. The game is challenging to beat and insane to perfect. Your reward for perfecting every level isn't to make the game easier with some OP gun, but to fight so hard that they make perfecting all the levels before that look easier than a 40-something at the Applebee's bar. If you want an FPS so fast it makes Doom look geriatric, Ultra Kill is for you. 8 out of 10. Skyrim is a fantasy RPG that has been released so many times that there is actually a confirmed Easter egg coming in the next Elder Scrolls game where Todd Howard will appear as the world's most powerful necromancer in the next game. You may think I'm lying, but you can't prove anything because neither of us will live to see the next game. You go around as your character, and your stats upgrade as you use them, allowing for skills to be purchased. There are many side quest lines to explore that all let you develop different skills, and those are just so fun on their own that in the hundreds of hours that I've played this game, I have not killed Alduin once. So if you want the staple RPG of gaming, then Skyrim is for you. 7 out of 10.
My Steam library is big, like my bicep, where I have exercised each muscle to its fullest potential. Unlike my bicep, I have barely played a lot of games, so I am reviewing all my games. Bro Force is a co-op side-scroller action game. Plays the pros of action culture to stop the evil stop little girly girls.
Misogynist!
No little girly girl, we have the big girly girls here too. You're just the little one. Start pumping iron! Your Amazonian ancestors are crying! You get each bro at random. Each has a different attack and ability. The environment is destroyable and has items such as the propane tank. Turns anyone on bucket into Elton Hill. RPG man, going down the field in Vietnam. If you're looking for a game with the bros, Bro Force is for you. 6 out of 10.
Descenders is a BMX game. It has many game modes, free play in the hub world, time trials, but my favorite is career mode. You have a whole map to explore in each run, acting like an arcade with lives and a reset mechanic when you run out of them. You go through these levels to get to the boss while trying to rack up points to get upgrades. Each level has different ratings of steepness, curves, and stunts, and as well as bonus objectives to grant you an extra life. You control the stunts you can do with your control sticks in the air, increasing your score. Everything from the stunts in the air to just going down fast on a mountain in this game feels incredible. So if you wanted Tony Hawk with half the wheels, Descenders is for you. 6 out of 10. Battleborn. Battleborn is a first-person MOBA and also simulates depression in its player. I'd love to tell you what I liked about this game. It was very promising with the character designs were awesome. The abilities were unique and cool. And like Overwatch just didn't copy TF2 and pasted some abilities on there. Battleborn was a full-on MOBA. So why did it fail? Well, hubris, the publishers decided to make Overwatch its rivals, and they unfortunately lost heavily. If this game was released at any other time, it did not have asinine publishers that were trying to derail one of the biggest hype trains in gaming history, it would have been one of my favorites. If you want to play Battleborn and were hyped since the first trailer like me, Zoloft and Whiskey is for you. I'm reviewing all 460 of my Steam games. Today's game is... Katana Zero is a twin-stick side-scroller that is heavy in atmosphere and has a gripping story that will keep you more invested than Redditor's dead meme stocks. You have thrown items and a katana against the criminal underworld. It's a sword to a gunfight, but you balance it out by having the power of chaos control and slowing time, making the gameplay fun planning around things like guns and melee, drawing people in or dodge the attacks. Of course, you could just reflect the bullets, even though that means you have to hit the bullet back with enough force to stop it and send it back. While the game may have skipped physics class, it didn't skip English class. The story is amazing, with a major mystery around your past, with all your responses told with this timer mechanic that lets you interact in an interesting way, getting you even more immersed and invested. If you wanted a super hot fix in 2D form with an amazing story, Katana Zero is for you. 7 out of 10. Adventure Capitalist is idle game. Idle games don't offer anything in innovative game design, music, or story. They instead hijack the part of your brain that releases dopamine when big number is indeed big and becomes even bigger number. Dopamine is still dopamine, however, so unfortunately I got several of these games, just so I could stop playing the game and come back and see if there was a bigger number at the top. What a surprise every time! You start off by buying your first lemonade stand, and through the power of exponential growth, you expand to both the moon and Mars. When you come to a crawl, you restart your run to be gifted angels so that the growth is even more exponential. If you like seeing big numbers like this, then you may have a gambling addiction. 1 out of 10. Splitgate is the FPS, standing for First Portal Shooter. Made by the original creators of Halo, Splitgate is an online shooter with portals causing many different strategies and shenanigans to take place. You can snipe out of portals or launch yourself across the map praying not to be sniped yourself, so you can get a fat drop on one of those normies on the ground. It's fast-paced and is one of the only good Halo/COD style FPSs that is out today. It's a great competitive shooter, but if you do comp, make sure to get a good pair of headphones or earbuds. Hearing is crucial when the enemies have portals and can just pop out from anywhere. So make sure you have some way to reliably hear stereo sound. If you want a Halo-type game made by the best Halo developers that don't treat its player base like a used Xbox Live gift card, Splitgate is for you. 8 out of 10.
Hello, my name is Amerigun, and I'm here to talk about my guns, a lot of which I've barely fired, like my Steam games, which is why I'm reviewing all of my Steam games. Today's is Enter the Gungeon. It's a roguelike that's all about top-down movement shooting. It's an intense bullet hell with plenty of guns to try, and the dodge roll so great the game studio is named after it. With the dodge roll, the bullet hell can be much more intense compared to games like Nuclear Throne and Binding of Isaac. Like Isaac, there are several items you can get on your run to upgrade your character, and of course, guns. But unlike Isaac, your run isn't decided by RNG, and most of the items are pretty balanced. Guns can get pretty crazy, but not to the point of overpowered because it has limited ammo. So if you want a roguelike with crazy bullet hell, crazy guns, and the craziest bosses, Gungeon is for you. 7 out of 10.
Binding of Isaac is a top-down roguelike shooter. You're on the run from your mom, who was told by Joel Osteen that the reason God hasn't given her a personal belly rub is that she hasn't trafficked your organs to buy Osteen a new Lambo. Each run starts after you flee your house into the basement. As you go along, you pick up new upgrades to fight the biblical eldritch horrors that lie ahead. Now, roguelikes are one of my favorite genres, and I've played a lot that are also top-down like this. So while you think I would love this granddaddy of the genre within a genre,
I mean, it's alright, like, overrated as fuck, in my opinion. I mean,
the game feels way more about RNG, praying for the game-breaking cheese items to win the run. If you want a simple top-down roguelike, Binding of Isaac is for you. 5 out of 10. Dark Crusade is an expansion from the original Dawn of War game, a 40k RTS that centers around base and army building. Each faction is very different and may collect or require different resources for building and troops. My favorite is the Necrons. They don't have many complicated mechanics, but their two big abilities is reanimation and teleportation. This game does not let you pause time, meaning that you have to manage all of your army and production orders while the enemy advances on you, making it tense and challenging. Of course, that strategy don't compare to the tried and true method of just eating everything with a biblically sized plague of bugs. If you want an old school RTS, Dawn of War, Dark Crusade is for you. A 6 out of 10. Poker Night at the Inventory 2 is a poker game that people only played to get the TF2 cosmetics. In Poker Night 2, you surprisingly play poker, as the title suggests. But since the TF2 cosmetics are no longer available to get, with all the other poker video games out there, why play this game? Simple, dialogue, Most games have characters from web series, TV, movies, and of course, video games. You'll often get to hear the characters BS with each other, and it's always well written, so it gives you some funny stories to listen to while playing. Or you can just look up all the dialogue on YouTube. So if you want to just relax and hear a trail mix bag of different IPs just tell stories, then Poker Night at the Inventory is for you. 4 out of 10. Bloodsport.tv is a top-down PvE MOBA with 4 classes and 2 characters per class. It's like League of Legends, but PvE, taking the Salt Devils down significantly. You can actually have fun with your friends now. The style is pretty interesting, reminiscent of Borderlands' Wasteland aesthetic. As the difficulty keeps going up, you and your friends will be actually served a good challenge. Each character has unique attacks and playstyles, even the ones inside the same class. Just look at the 2 crowd control characters. Caddy wants to get up close and personal so he can become some sort of pseudo-sentry, and Buzzer is a little sniper rat in the back lines. So if you want to play Mad Max League with non-lethal levels of salt, Bloodsport.tv is for you. 6 out of 10.
I have over 200 Steam games and I'm reviewing all of them. Today is Bleed, a twin-stick side-scroller where you can slow down time. Well, if you thought this was a ripoff of K0, then you're wrong! Bleed came out way before it. This time you have a gun, pistol gun, rocket gun, shotgun, and the Kagana. Plus, you can fly through the air. You have 3 dashes that are in complete control as you fly. You start with a pistol and rocket, but points can be used to buy the other guns. And each level has fantastic mini-bosses and bosses. The game can be really tough, feeling underpowered in the beginning as you haven't bought all the stat upgrades. Also, the aiming is bad with your character's model only updating with each shot, so it's impossible to tell where you're aiming. If you want a tough Contra-type game and can withstand the jank, Bleed is for you. 5 out of 10. Welcome to STEAMathon, where I review all my games. Today we're checking out Bleed the 2. I did Bleed, so tap here to see if you haven't, because I'll mostly be talking about the differences. No big new mechanics were added to Bleed 2. It's the same gameplay premise, but it has quite the bit of polish now. You can see where you point, and you start off with dual-wielding katana and pistol, meaning you can reflect purple shots while shooting. These 2 things balance the game out really well. Unfortunately, it takes away a lot of the bullet hell now that reflecting is much more common. A big drawback, however, is that you can only unlock things after you've beaten the game, which is kind of poopy in my opinion, because I want to play around with all the weapons while I'm playing it the first time. I don't want to have to beat the entire game just to be able to try a new weapon out. If you want to play Bleed the best way, Bleed 2 is for you. 6 out of 10.
Teddy Terror is a cheap indie game that I only bought for I was but a feeble child and one of my favorite YouTubers was in it. It was H2O Delirious. I was a big fan of the Vanoss group. Give me a break, we were all 12 once. The game was a roguelike with a really interesting concept actually. You don't have a weapon, but instead you kill monsters with the environment and traps. You're using your child body as bait against these predators and have your trusty Teddy to slow enemies or activate traps. After all predators are baited, Chris Hansen comes up to reach you and send you to the next level. While it is a really interesting concept, the rest of the design is not as inspired. And there's not much variety in traps, environments, or monsters, so the game becomes old really quick. If for some reason you're looking for a game that will be interesting for a couple hours with a good concept and a YouTuber in it, I guess Teddy Terror is for you. 3 out of 10.